300 yards and 4 touchdowns. And so it's kind of hard to sit here and say, let's not give him the back to back player of the week. And another other coach at team of the week is going to be joined later on by Coach Floyd, the head coach at Hewitt-Trussville High School, as Hewitt-Trussville had a big win over Hoover High School this past week, 28-7, and to push that record to 3-1. I'm sorry, you're 3-1, and given victory in their region play, which is says a lot where they are. And we're going to recap also. Dex will be joining us shortly, but I want to recap also this past week high school games that we had here um, in the area that we covered. We covered the BB Comer and Vincent game. On that game there, me and Dexter has this running thing through the end of the year. Who got the best record right now? Dexter has me. He's 23-9. I'm 22-10. But BB Comer versus Vincent. I picked BB Comer to win. Dexter took. I took Vincent to win, and Dexter took BB Comer, and I should have went with Dexter because BB Comer won 36-0. Next game, Billingsley versus Toggleville, and we both took a Toggleville to win. Toggleville won that game handily 42-12. Sumter Central versus ACA. We both took ACA. ACA won that one 39-18. Next game was Homewood versus Benjamin Russell. This game here, um, we both took Benjamin Russell to win. And Homewood actually won 41-21. So we both was wrong on that one. The next one was Central McAdory. We both took McAdory to win. McAdory won 42-14 on that one. The Hueytown Bedford City game. Dexter took Hueytown, and I actually took the ride and took Bedford City, and Bedford City actually won. Hueytown won 47-0. The next game, which is our game of the week, was Hewitt-Trussville versus Hoover, and on this one right here, I took Hewitt-Trussville, and no, I'm sorry. Let me say it right. I took Hoover to win. Let me correct it. I took Hoover to win because I couldn't see Hoover going 1-4. Dexter took Hewitt-Trussville, and Hewitt-Trussville actually won 28-7. The next one, Vestavia Spain Park. We both took Spain Park. I'm sorry, both took Vestavia. Vestavia won 26-8. And I'll tell you, Vestavia, quiet as kept, is probably going to be one of the top programs out here in that region. I look for them coming down to a battle between them and Hewitt-Trussville for that second seed in that region. The next one was Sparkman versus Grissom. We both took Sparkman. Sparkman won 51-0. Hartselle was Gaston City. I went with Hartselle in Dexter Gaston City. Hartselle won 31-28. Clay Central versus Hanley. We both took Hanley to win. And the score in that game was 31-6. Central actually won. Uh, Next one was Helena versus Pelham. We both took Helena in that game right there. Helena won 31-14, and we're gonna be joined later by our player of the week, which is Jordan Washington, who's running back from Helena High School. And like I said, Jordan ran 30 times 307 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's amazing to be carry the ball that load and prove the fact that he's actually one of the top backs around here. Um, and so this week's games, we actually got a heads up. This week's games, we're looking at the game of the week is going to be Thursday night. Clay versus Thompson in Alabaster, and it's an ESPN game. The weird part about this game is Clay is actually the home team, but with capacity, they played the game at Thompson, but Clay's gonna be the home team. It's gonna be kind of weird. I'm wondering. My question is Clay gonna get the home side and Thompson get the visitors locker room? That's gonna be the question. Where they got to walk from the gym all the way to the stadium. So I wonder, is that part of the package there, which I'm sure is not, but let's guess. Then we got Piedmont versus Anniston, Vincent versus Childersburg, Ohatchee versus Jacksonville, Jemison versus Montevallo, Foley versus Saraland. That's going to be a good game. Austin versus Gardendale. The next one is going to be very interesting. Mount Brook versus Hoover. Now, everybody's wondering who's on this slide right now. They're 1-4, and actually, Mount Brook's playing good football right now after losing to Vest David to start the season out, which everybody thought it was going to be down a year, but proved the fact that Vest David has a lot of talent over there with head at quarterback and Jordan Ross. So it's going to be interesting that right there. Um, Moody versus Shelby County, Pleasant Grove versus Parker. Those are going to be our games of the week this week. And just waiting for Jordan Ross to, not Jordan Ross, Jordan Washington to actually join us now to so that we can talk to him about his performance this past week against Pelham. And that game was actually a rival game because people don't realize, that used to all the kids used to be going to um, going to Pelham before the school started. But now, they did the merger and stuff, and they kind of separate schools. So now you got Helena and you got Pelham, which the schools are roughly nowhere from one another. And so it's amazing to see, how successful, that Helena is really doing, and those two schools had to split talent like that. And we're gonna talk a little also about high school. One thing I'm glad, a ruling that the Alabama High School Athletic Association did, this past week with reinstating the victory for T County High School when they had a forfeit game when a couple of kids got gift cards from uh, Buffalo Wild Wings. I'm really glad that the Athletic Association made the right choice on this because it's tough when you got kids out here that are really playing really hard, and someone wants to to reward them and give them a reward for their action they're doing. It's not like you give them $300 or $400. You only give them $20 here or there gift card or whatever. Uh, and so that's they went back and ruled that and changed that and stuff and said it was okay. You can give food gift cards out to players, and so we kind of held back on ours as well because we're sponsored by Full Moon, and Full Moon actually gives us gift cards to get the players of the week also. But we held back because we didn't want to violate any rules or whatever with that being said. And so while I'm waiting on Jordan to come on now, I'm gonna actually reach out to him because he had trouble with his phone last time. I'm gonna try to reach out to him and reach out to him now. Hey Jordan, how you doing? Hey, we got Jordan Washington on the phone with us now. Jordan is the tailback over at Helena High School, and it's one thing I've always said is I've been trying to spread the wealth around with players of the week and give everybody opportunity and whatnot. And just looking at your numbers this past week, Jordan, it's virtually impossible to sit here and say, "Hey, Jordan Washington is not, our player of the week." And when you were the player of the week last week also, and just see where you are now this week, and just seeing how what kind of week you're having, this week and stuff, what kind of game you had this past week, it just really is very impressive. So, what do you guys say for yourself? This the numbers you put up um, this past uh, this past Friday night. Was that your most rushing yards there at Helena in the game? And speaking of that, Jordan, just looking at last year, everybody loaded the box on y'all last year. Like we talked about this last time. It's been really hard for teams to do that this year. And just because y'all got a quarterback that's pretty accurate, you got two great receivers, really three with T Ward, with Hunter, and with what's his name? He's a junior also. Um, I can't think of his name now, but Nate, who that?
Nate Jones.
Yeah, Nate Jones. Yeah, can't believe I forgot Nate's name with Nate. So it's one of those situations where it's almost pick your poison to who you can load the box, we're gonna throw it on you. If you try to play us a dime, we run it down your throat. So what was going into the Pelham game, that being a robbery for y'all, and it being you're close together, right by each other, and what did it mean for y'all as players to go out there knowing that a lot of y'all went to with the elementary school, Pelham growing up, that you're going to Pelham High School, watching all the older guys play at Pelham before you all, and now realizing that hey, we're at Helena, we're no longer Pelham. How much a factor that robbery play into you all as you want to go out here and really leave your senior year knowing that you beat Pelham again.
It felt good. As a team, it felt really good to win that game and play really good. We played on hindsight that game because it's a rivalry. We would have beat them because, I mean, a lot of smack talk goes on the week of, just like the schools. Not even people that play football. The school, like, both the schools just hate each other like really bad. It's just like a tennis rivalry. And there's supposed to smack talk. And there's been a lot going out there playing good as a team and getting a win.
And and just another thing too, Jordan, I've gotten a chance. I've gotten a chance to know you, watch you work out and whatnot, and it's seeing your trainer. How Mike pushes you, but also this is where a lot of people don't get a lot of credit to. And I see the support system you have at home, with your mom and dad, and they support you, and they're pushing you and stuff. And this how important it is to have not only Coach Busby is your coach, but you got your trainers being Mike, and then when you go home, you got mom and dad there. How important is that?
It's very important because they're well, my mom goes to learn about school. My dad's learning about football. Keep my It's important because they keep me on my heels, and I don't know like what I would do if I didn't have any of them. And I'm very grateful for parents that can help me during the times I'm in and help me when I need help and stuff. And they're here for me all the time, and I like them, I enjoy them, and I'm very thankful for them.
And that's like I said, that's very good because like I said, I've seen you work out and stuff. I see how dedicated you are, to your craft, and it's gonna you think about it, you're actually high school's going by real fast, and you're halfway through your senior year right now. Have you thought about? I know you got several offers out here to to continue your playing career. Have you kind of narrowed anything down yet, or you just kind of sit playing a waiting game right now?
Just simply waiting for
Okay.
like bigger schools, but I because I really like the school, these the four schools, and I've narrowed it down. And if those schools come, then those schools, they're my
So
choices.
okay. So you mind telling everybody who are your four choices you narrowed down so far?
Tulane, Memphis, Duke, and East Carolina.
Hey, those are four schools you can't go wrong at, especially when I tell people life after football. Because football is going to end one day, and a degree from Tulane, Duke, Memphis, East Carolina, it really goes a long ways. So that tells right there, you're making an educated decision, as far as your future because football, like I said, one time, another is going to end. And it's going to be where you are, what you're going to do, when football is over and stuff. And this, being able to, you know, support yourself, and, support your family down the road and stuff. That's what's very, that's very important because everybody, we all, dream of playing in the SEC, playing, we're in state here, so Alabama, Auburn. But at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, when your playing days over those 4 or 5 years, you know, you don't look back on, I played football as more so I got my degree. And,
Yes, sir.
where that factors in a lot. And you been, talking to Coach Busby about you and stuff, he raves about you as being not just, athlete, but a student athlete. There's someone that he really can sit here and admire and and their support as a young man. And so I really appreciate you coming on tonight. And who do y'all play this week?
Jackson Olin.
Okay, now don't go for 400 this week. Now I mean it's like you're closing in already this year. You're closing in 1,000 yards already. Where are you at right now? Do you know?
849.
And so you're closing in 1,000 yards. And y'all, what are y'all 4-0 right now? Um,
Uh,
you 5-0?
yes, sir.
Yeah. So halfway through, you almost at 1,000 yards. So with the playoffs and everything, and whereas y'all got a great run and stuff. Look forward to watching you play the rest of the year. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, just Jordan Washington, tailback, Helena High School. Jordan, thank you for joining us tonight. Okay. And also,
Thank you.
what I'm gonna do too, I'm gonna get with Coach Busby now that we can do it. You have two as far as the player of the week is concerned, and I'm gonna give each player of the week gets a full moon player of the week meal, their choice. So I'm gonna get with Coach Busby and get you the gift card over to you. Actually you got two, and actually Hunter got one. So I'm gonna get with him this week sometime to give me y'all. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, good talking to you. Have a great week. Okay.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. That was Jordan Washington, tailback over at Helena High School. Jordan, like I said, 30 carries, 307 yards, 4 touchdowns this week. So you can't put it, you can't go wrong with that those numbers. And there's no way you can sit here and say, hey, he's not our player of the week. And great kid, comes from a great family. I got a chance to talk to his dad before, and he tell his dad they're really learning the game of football and whatnot. And this, I can see the support they have with Jordan is great. So Jordan, once again, Jordan Washington, our Southern Express Full Moon Player of the Week. And next we're gonna get is um, Coach Josh Floyd, the head coach over at Hewitt Trussville High School. We're gonna get him on the phone with him after their big victory this past week over the Hoover Buccaneers. Um, and let's talk a little bit about Hoover. They're 1-4, and yes, right now it's a situation where they got to play. They're battling to make the playoffs. But one thing I always tell people keep in mind, it is still Hoover. They've laid the grassroots around here for everybody. They've been made more state championship appearances, have won more championships than anybody, and that championship mentality is still over there at Hoover High School. So it's going to be interesting to see this week when they play Mountain Brook, because Mountain Brook actually it does have a couple of players that can change the game. John Cooper, the quarterback, Cole Gamble, the tailback, and Clark Sanderson. Those three guys at any time can change the dynamics of the game. And they also, they have probably the best linebacker around here. The kid that plays linebacker over there at at Mount Brook. So it's going to be a really tough. I'm interested to see, this game and how it pans out I'm glad that I'm gonna get a chance to see both of them play because William Greer, the linebacker over at Mount Brook, is really special. He's averaging about 16, 17 tackles a game. I mean, he's all over the field. Last year he set out play lacrosse, and he just realized that football is where he wants to be, and so he really is buckled down and got himself into playing. Hoover is gonna always always have players. They got Jonah Winston over there, the younger brother of Jameis Winston, who's making a name for himself. He don't always want to be called, Jameis or Jay Boo's little brother. He's making his own name over there. Um, they got so they got Hoover still, regardless. They got Bradley Shaw at linebacker, who's a great dynamic player. Hoover is going to still have players, regardless of the fact they walk in the field, and it's like when I was in Nashville, at a school called Riverdale, and it was that thing of we walk in the field, it was fear to spear, and everybody, regardless of the fact of what you did or whatnot, it's Friday night, you got to come to Riverdale High School and play Riverdale. Well, the same way with Hoover. You got to go to the Met. You got to play Hoover at the Met. That's a intimidating factor. For Trussell to get out there 28-7 victory, that says a lot about what Coach Floyd is doing over there with his program over there in Trussell as well. And so it's going to be a dogfight this week to see the game between Mount Brook and and Hoover. And I'm gonna reach out and get Coach Floyd on the phone with us now. Hey, we got Coach Floyd on the phone with us. Coach Floyd's the head coach over at Hewitt Trussville High School. Hey, Coach Floyd, hey, thanks for taking time out your busy schedule. I know you're preparing for another big game this week. And I want to congratulate you and thank you for being Hewitt Trussville being our team of the week this week. You had a very big win, not just say over Hoover, but you did it at the Hoover Met. And anybody who knows, it's really tough winning at the Hoover Met. The crowd, the atmosphere, everything. It just it's what football is all about. Your guys go in there and win handily. And what people don't realize is I've got a chance to know a lot of you guys you're playing are a bunch of sophomores, and so this tell me how about this past week game and how the atmosphere and how your son Peyton, those being a leader, him being a senior now. Tell me, Coach Floyd, how not just from dad's standpoint, but that leadership role, him being a senior leading the team. How different that it been from the past year, him kind of being in the shadow, not having to step up to be a leader.
Sure, man. I appreciate it, man. First of all, yeah, thanks for having us on there, man. Like you said, I mean, it was a big win for us. Hoover's always tough to beat. They definitely have a lot of talented kids and always do. And like you said, the Mets is just kind of a different place to play. It's kind of a weird environment, just different than anywhere else you play. And so, we didn't play great offensively the whole night, but we started out kind of slow, but ended up being able to move the ball later. And our defense just did an incredible job the entire game. So, it's just one game, but, obviously, anytime you beat Hoover, it's a big deal for a team. So, our guys just found a way to get it done and played good, tough, physical football. But you mentioned Peyton, our quarterback. I mean, he's having a great senior year right now, and like you. I mean, you referenced it. I mean, I just think there's something different a lot of times about being a senior. I mean, guys just he was the leader last year in some ways, but I think just that senior year, just something just clicks even more, and I think there's just a more sense of urgency when you're a senior and this is your last go around, and they want to, our guys want to go out winning the championship like everybody, and so. I think he's done a really nice job. They have a really good senior class. Feel like 30, 31 seniors that guys have always won and have been a part of good teams, and so it's important to them. And like you referenced too, I mean, we're counting on some young guys, and we did. I mean, we had probably 4 or 5 sophomores Friday night that made big plays and big moments, and that's a credit to them. To be able to come in that type of setting, that type of environment, and perform was really big for us and helped us win the game.
And it's funny you say that because as far as I can think back, you go all the way back to the Bailey Michael Waynes, Pierce Quicks, those guys. Y'all have always had the big name guys, Malachi Moore, Javaris Johnson, Paul Tyson, DeZalen. It's Amari Kelly, to name a few. But you look at this year's team, it's more of those younger guys. You're gonna have young guys that are gonna be stars down the road, but they don't know how good they are. Not yet. But you got guys right now that's been around the program for a while, and like I always try to say that sometimes it's better when you got a group of guys that want to play football and are not worried about that prima donna, and even like now with the colleges now, you're dealing with the NIL stuff. So a lot of these kids right now that 4 or 5 star kids, they're worried about right now of not getting hurt. So when I get to college, I can get my NIL deal, and having those guys right, like you have, and that those tough, hard nosed kids that want to go out here, they want to win, they want to be successful, and you got like Malachi's little brother, Aiden over there. And I can, and what people don't realize is I remember that 8th grade class, what I think people fail to realize, that same class that are seniors now, they actually won the Metro when they were in 8th grade. So they're used to and accustomed to winning. And, this whereas they all, they're putting it together on the high school level now. And you bring that sophomore class you got, that I know definitely those kids are very special in that class, and putting them out there, and you getting their feet wet early, it just says a lot about your staff and the things that you do as a coach and your community involved and stuff, and just the one thing that I must say that I've seen Coach Floyd, knowing you for quite some time now, and just how you support your players that have come through Trussville, that are in college now. It doesn't matter, if they're, playing on Saturdays or not. Just like, to me, the bigger thing, and I've always told Malachi this, the biggest thing is getting that degree, and to see you and your staff show up at his graduation party and stuff. That just tells how you all support your players. After they leave Hewitt Trussville, it's not just they're playing for Hewitt Trussville, they're trying to get us victories, and they're gone, so on. But you all support them even after they leave Trussville. That says a lot about your program.
I appreciate it, man. We definitely do that. I mean, really one of my favorite things to do, man, every Saturday is just watch TV. I still have to get some work done on Saturdays, obviously, right here in the middle of the season. But one of my favorite things to do is just flip through the channels all day Saturday and see our guys performing. And I'll go to a few games during the fall, but it's just hard to.
It's hard. I mean, you got.
It just wears you out, man, that whole day. So, so it's a lot of fun to just be able to flip around and just watch different guys, watch them perform. And whether they, like you said, whether they're stars or not, or they play hardly any during the game. I mean, the point is for them to get a college and education, and they get a free. I feel like that's one of our jobs as high school coaches. It should be to get our guys, every chance possible to get a free education. And so, but we don't have as many of those big time names necessarily that are juniors and seniors right now. We've got a few that have some D1 offers. We've definitely had more classes in the past that had higher end guys, but this senior class, we probably haven't had one that was ever any better as far as just being spread out with really good football players. And we have a lot of guys that play college football, but I think there's more guys that are, maybe FCS type guys, D2 guys. And it doesn't mean they can't play FBS. It's just maybe they're an inch or two shorter, than somebody wants.
Yeah,
and so it could be that or something else,
or now
now.
now you're dealing with the portal too. Is it's killing the high school guys too. So
It has.
some of those guys
It's hurt
that
them.
are
Especially the borderline guys. The borderline guys are really
exactly
hurt.
yes,
The big time guys, the Hunter Osborns and Justice Finkley's and those kind of guys we've had. I mean, they're going to get what they get.
yeah,
But those guys that are, hey, they're an inch too short or they're not sure about it. I mean, it's just, it's just making the whole thing go a little bit later. But I mean, like you said, I mean, we've got a bunch of kids that I think that they can play ball somewhere. It just may not be SEC type
exactly.
opportunities. But the biggest thing because I feel like there's been a lot of years we've had our best players have been as good as anybody's. There's maybe a couple of years there where Thompson was kind of at a different level than everybody else talent wise, but I think for the most part we've been able to have. Our biggest thing's always been that next tier. Trying to develop that depth. We haven't had that depth honestly that a Hoovers had. Partly just because they're a massive school. I mean, they're twice our size. So
exactly.
More kids. So that's just real. But I also think that's why it's more important in our place to let the development, on a day-to-day basis from middle school football to youth football, all those things. I think they probably matter here more at our program than some of those other bigger schools just because we have to rely on those kids. And so, I feel like we've been here long enough now that we've been able to develop some of that depth. And we've had some guys step up. And we still got a couple injuries right now of guys that really are good football players that haven't played. One hadn't even played one down the whole year yet. So, it was fun to see those next guys step up, especially Friday night. Guys just stepped up and did their job, and we were able to get out of there with the win.
Yeah, one sophomore that I really want to make mention to is he's really coming on to seeing his where his ability now is Dylan Coates. It's like he's almost him and being that second receiver that you all have there is really it's really helping. He's getting a lot better every week, and understanding the game a lot more. Not just being a big kid, but it's really understanding what is expected of him, and to be a player out there. Talk a little bit about Dylan.
Sure, Dylan's. I mean, he's a guy that's got a lot of God-given ability. I mean, he's a big, probably 6'2" right now, 185 kid. That's a sophomore, and so he's 15 years old. So he's got a huge future ahead of him. But he just, like you said, he's just gotten better and better throughout the summer, throughout fall camp. Just more of the finite, just the fine details of being a receiver. What I mean? Whether that's route running, whether that's blocking, whatever it is. We're trying to get him to be a complete player. And so he's made some big plays this year already, and he's going to continue to do that. I think he's gained confidence as it's gone on. Some of that. Payne's never thrown at him. My middle son Parker, who's actually he's playing linebacker for us, starting for us at linebacker right now, but he's played with Dylan. All those years Parker was the one throwing to him. So now, Payne's the one throwing to So even that, just getting that chemistry together with those guys, it takes time.
Exactly.
But he's done a heck of a job, man. Like I said, we've had 4 or 5 sophomores that have really stepped up. And look at the other night, guys just made big plays in big moments.
Yeah, and
so, Dylan's he's gonna be a big time prospect. He's definitely gonna be one of those. But I want to say one more thing about Dylan. The thing I love about him is just his attitude. The dude comes to work every day.
Yeah,
he's not arrogant, cocky, not any of that kind of stuff. He just comes to work every day and tries to get better.
Yeah, he and really you said it the most. He is. That's in that, and like I said, that group of sophomores that you have over there. Those kids. It's like they just they're inseparable. They're always together and stuff. So that goes a long ways too, because they can depend on each other, and just knowing that they got each other's back. That's that goes a long way. Like you said, you don't have those Malachi Moores, Amari Kelly. I remember this couple years ago when you had Paul Tyson, Pierce Quick. You had every coach in America was coming through here at Trussville.
Right.
Because, you had that year, then following behind that with the Zaylen and Malachi, and so it just but now you got those group of kids that, like you said, the group of five, the FCS kids that are just hungry, and that we want to win. We're not even thinking about how many offers we got, this, that, and the other. They want to go out here every week and compete and get better as a team, but also help their team win. Who do y'all play this week?
We play Huffman this week, so we'll be it'll be a non-region game, and then we start region play back the next week. So we've had a pretty good, it's been a pretty good run here the last few weeks. So, we're kind of at least out of region for 1 week. So
yeah. Now I got a question for you as a coach, and I want I'm not gonna get a prediction from you because I'm not gonna put you there. So what you've played both of them in the past, and both of them you play Thompson every year. The big game everybody's talking about this week is the Hewitt Trust. I'm sorry, the Thompson and Collegiate game on Thursday night. This as a head coach, what do you say that Thompson has to do to win, and what do you see what Clay has to do to win?
Well, first of all, I mean, when you look at both those teams, I mean, they're just super athletic. On both sides of the ball. I think Clay's pretty big up front from what I've seen. Thompson is obviously still really, really good on defense. They may not have the Peter Woods and the Jeremiah, which I'm not gonna miss those guys at all. They were pretty dominant when they were there. So they obviously still have the Fagans kid. They've still got dudes all over the field, but those guys were. I mean, Peter was kind of a generational type kid. I feel like. I mean, he was pretty special. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
But you look at them; they're still really, really good on the D line. They've got a lot of athletes in the secondary, and I think the thing that Thompson's been able to score. Obviously, I mean that's with marking them, they're always going to put some points on the board, and they're really good at receiver. They've got some senior guys and the big running back. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. For them to be pretty balanced. So, and Clay, I don't know as much about them just because we played Thompson so much lately, but I know Mbakwe. I mean, that guy, I mean, he's a heck of a player. He's obviously one of the best players in the entire country. So, the key would, if they get him the ball in the open field, then I think they can score some points on him, I do think the fact that Thompson's got the big running back kid, I mean, he's a big, thick kid that's hard to bring down. And Clay's one of those 6A teams that can play with just about anybody in 7A. I think there is a difference sometimes. Just the physicality of an entire season in our region is probably a little different than a lot of those teams see. But I definitely in a 1 week thing, man. I mean, I think Clay's one of those teams that can probably play with anybody in the state.
Yep. Here's the funny thing I said earlier. Last year the game was at Thompson, and this year's at Thompson too. They're splitting the gate or whatever. And Thompson got bigger facilities. My question was, is since Thompson is the visiting team, are they going to give up their locker room and get dressed in the gym?
Yeah, I doubt it. When you go to Thompson, man, they make you walk about a mile.
Look, I remember when I first saw that, I was like, where are they walking from? I was like, man. Like you retired for kickoff. Because I remember seeing somebody play, I can't remember who it was, and they said, forget it, we're not going back on that at halftime. They stay in the end zone.
We did that last year. We had some guys set up some stuff behind the scoreboard because it takes so long to walk. You don't want to spend half your time walking. So but I mean it's always a good environment at that field, you know what I mean? So I'm sure that'll play a factor in the game.
Yep, it is.
Well.
Well, Coach Flo, I'm not gonna hold your time, but I really appreciate you coming on with us. And it's a great win for Hewitt Charlesville this past week over Hoover and stuff. And hey, good luck this Friday night against Huffman, okay?
Oh, thanks so much. I appreciate it, man.
No problem. You have a good evening. That was Coach Josh Floyd, the head coach over at Hewitt Charlesville High School, and they had a big win this past week when they beat Hoover. And like I said, take nothing from it. People want to talk or whatever, and that Hoover is not Hoover, or this, that, and the other. Hoover is still Hoover. Take nothing away from it. That is still Hoover University. It's still Hoover U. And the one thing that I've always said, and and it goes anywhere. Just like when you know Bear Bryant retired at Bama, it took a long time for them to find Coach Stallings to win another national championship in '92. Then you go from '92 to pretty much being a okay team, until Coach Saban got there, and the dominance of runs. It's hard, you know, to follow behind a legacy, and you know, and that's what you got at Hoover. Coach Probst, Coach Finley, you know, God rest his soul, he built Berry High School to what it is. But so when Coach Probst got there and took over the Hoover High School, the whole dynamics, the whole game changed. Everybody, just feared Hoover. Then when Coach Niblett got there, Niblett won when he was at Oneonta and other places and whatnot. So when he got there, he had players there as well, and he carried on the tradition of Hoover U. And things have changed of lately. With Thompson being back to where the old Thompson back in the days of Arthur Johnson, Lavelle Bivens, Greg Snell, those days, Jeff Bentley days, when they won it, the state championship in '82, to now they're on a 4-peat run, and they're right now they're playing for a 5-peat, and you got Hoover right now has lost 4 games, and they were saying the same thing about Thompson last year. The dynasty's over. The dynasty's over. And what did they do? They started 0-2. What did they do? They lost at home for the first time in their stadium to Lipscomb. That was the first loss in their stadium ever. But so then they turned around and lost again later on to Hoover there. And everybody, look, Thompson's not the same Thompson. Thompson's not this. You get them in the playoffs, can't nobody touch them. They're 7A state champs. So my point with that is Hoover is still Hoover. Make no means about it. You still got to play Hoover. When Hoover plays Thompson, that game is going to be, I don't know what the record is, throw it out the window. Those teams going to battle each other. So, make no means about it. Hoover is still Hoover, and Hoover is not, gone. They still got players over there. They're going to get it together. And so, next week we're looking forward to next week's show. Dex didn't get on with us yet. He had something that came up, but it's like I said though, Hoover's still Hoover, but it's gonna be, say it's gonna be they're gonna make a run, but like I said, Dex hadn't got on with us yet. He had some came up that he had to take care of, whatnot, and so, but I'm still here, and I'm gonna recap the game we're gonna cover this week, and I'm gonna give my prediction on the air. Piedmont versus Anniston. I'm gonna go with Piedmont on that game right there. The next one, Vincent versus Childersburg. I say Vincent bounces back. That's gonna be a robbery. They're right down the road from each other. So I got to go Vincent on this one. The next game, Ohatchee versus Jacksonville. This is going to be an interesting game here. Jacksonville has a great quarterback. Ohatchee is still Ohatchee. I'm going to go to Jacksonville. I just feel Jacksonville is a little stronger than them. Another robbery, Malvalo versus Jemison. They're not far from each other either. Malvalo took a loss this past week. I'm gonna go Malvalo on this one. Saraland versus Foley. The battle of 2 great receivers. I think Saraland has this. There's too much over there. I'm gonna go Saraland. Saraland is loaded. The next one, Austin versus Gardendale. This is a tough pick for me right here. I'm gonna go with the Dale. This next game is really gonna be a tough one for me. Got players at both places. Hoover versus Mountain Brook. It's a really tough pick right here. The question: will Hoover go 1-5, or will Mountain Brook, get over that thorn and pull out the victory versus Hoover? It was a battle last year between those two. I'm gonna get an edge. I'm gonna go with the coaching and get an edge. I gotta go. Tradition says go with Hoover, but I'm gonna change that tradition. I'm gonna pick the boys from Brook. I'm going Mountain Brook. Moody versus Shelby County. Shelby County just they're a little down right now. Moody's really rolling. Coach Gaines got him really rolling over there. I'm going Moody. The Battle of Birmingham. Even though it's they really in the city, but Pleasant Grove versus Parker, two great programs. Parker got more D1 prospects over there than Auburn University in Alabama. They're loaded. I gotta go to Thunder and Herd. I think their front line is too strong over there. Now the game of the week. Thompson versus Clay in Alabaster. Mabakwe is a difference maker. Trent Seaborn is special. Clay is big up front, like, because Floyd said. But I got to go with the fact that Mabakwe is playing quarterback. If he was playing receiver, can get the ball to him in space, I think he's a matchup nightmare. Cause I think he's a better receiver than he is a corner. To be honest, he's very dynamic with the ball in his hands. I think this game will come down to AJ Green, the running back of Thompson. If AJ can run the ball on them and free up the passing game for for Trent to throw the ball, Thompson wins. If Clay jumps out early, it's going to be tough. But my prediction is right here. I'm going Thompson 27, Clay 26. I could be eating crow next week, but hey, that's where I see it. So this is the end of another episode of our high school football show. And I want thank y'all for listening and whatnot, and tuning in. And join us next week at the same time for the next week's show. I'm Byron Deviner with my co-host Dexter Harrell. Have a good night.